Hello friends, my name is Shobit and you are watching Localhost Labs. Today we are going to learn how to make newsletter. So our newsletter is divided into 5 parts. The considered as first header is a first part. Then we have a banner section, second part. Then we have featured content which is having background red is a featured content is a third section. And the fourth section we have a content with the image and call to CTA button. And the final section we have unsubscribe button. So I told you to divide into 5 sections. That helps to create a newsletter in a simple manner. So without wasting your time, let's jump into the code and see how we can create in a couple of minutes. Okay, so if you see my screen, I have a snippet of HTML5, HTML 1.0 doc type. Why I am using this one is because we need to support in different browsers, Outlooks and Gmail. So this newsletter is parcel to your subscribers inboxes, not basically on the browsers. They mainly check in the emails, right? And today we are going to build this in traditional method, table and tr or td. Now let's get started this one. So in the body part, we need to create the first section here. So before that, just go to this one. So there are 5 steps. So let me cover the first step. We need to define a sample CSS which will required for all the newsletters. So our body section having some styles. So like margin 0 pixels. Then we can reset our paddings 0 pixels. So the outline of any newsletters is not occupy any space, so I'm setting it margin 0 and padding 0. Now display block. So marketers all important because every application have their own styles, so we'll not face any challenges to render our newsletter. So I'm just putting this back. All are marked as important and this is all important. Now this is done. Now the term is width. Width we have to make it 100%. So we'll set minimum width also so that it will occupy the whole space which is provided by the application. Now last is, if you want to render something, should have a color. So I'm putting a background color so that it will look something like light gray color, F4, F4, F4. This is my favorite light color. So this is the default CSS which we added in our body sections. Okay, now if we are using a call to action button or a call to action link, so we can also reset our CSS for that also. So by default it should be black, so I don't like the black color of the links. It should be 9490. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this one. So this is again little bit darker than the body background color, and this is my favorite color. Although this is a basic style done. Now step 1, we'll create some samples, then we reuse them to put up and create a newsletter. So step 1, I'll remove it later. Okay, step 1 is we'll create a sample tables which we are going to use in throughout the newsletter. So all the tables have cell padding, it's called 0. Cell spacing should be 0 because we don't want any spacing between any of the sections for now. We'll create spaces through the tables only. And border, we don't want any border, but 0. Now we always say rows, then td. This is the step 1. Then we copy out this one, create step 2 where we have horizontal spacers. So for that you need to put some height in the td section. Suppose 10 pixel we need a space for horizontal, and width should be as usual 100%, and this saved. Okay, this is step 2. Now come to the step number 3. This is a horizontal space. Now we are creating, again we copy this one and create the basic one, so which have a minimum of, so what is the minimum requirement of a newsletter width? That is 650 pixels, and border, sorry, we already have a border, so we can skip here and we can put BG color equal to FFF, that is white. Now we can remove this. Okay, now our all basic needs are ready. We can start in the body section. We can put all this step by step and we'll see how will outcome looks like. So first step, this is the basic step what we are looking for. Before that, what you all need to do, whatever you have, put it all in the styles. We can put it here too, so that suppose a style is not supporting any of the application like Gmail or Yahoo Mail or Outlook, so it will get it from the body. So what we'll do here is we'll put something like this and put all the CSS which we created earlier here also. Important. Then padding, that is also 0. Padding 0. Background should also be the same color. Display block, and mark it as important. Now minimum width, done. Then width, that is also done. Okay, now come to the next point is, let's move a little bit up so that you can see my screen clearly. All right, so before that I'm gonna create one more table simple here. Then we put all this basic things required here. Paste it here. I'm good to go here. Then we'll create another tr td. Then our code will start from here. Now we align. Vertical alignment should be at center. I'm sorry, should be at top. Then align center, so that when we check in this newsletter into browser, it will be at center. So just copy this one, cut it from here and paste it here. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not copy, I guess. Okay, so done. Now save it. So this is our minimum width sample of 650. That's a basic dimension of any newsletter, which will help us to create a newsletter specific the standard size of newsletter design. Now we create, inside that we'll create 5 rows. So this is first one. Let me copy 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Done. So first section, this is our first row is our first section. This we call as header section. Okay, then we have a banner section. We call it as banner section. After that we have featured section, right? So we can call featured section. Then we have our content section, and the final one is our footer section. So 5 placements of all the rows are ready. Now what we'll do, we have already have all the samples. Earlier we created tables, right? We can copy and paste and call according to our requirements. So inside this, when we go inside this one, we'll have this what do you call it? We can create another table here which have minimum width. Okay, let me go inside this one and create, sorry, okay, let's style this table with minimum width. That's, sorry, I must 650 pixels, then minimum width. What is happening to my this stupid 650 pixels? Then no padding required for this, no margin required for this, some resetting. So all you need to have, right, inline style only, because I told you the most of the application does not support the styling that you prepared at the top or external style sheet. We cannot move into the newsletters, right? And that's it from side. Then we can put it all the tables here. Let's go for the first table here, copy it from here, create a newsletter for this one and paste it here. So it should be 100%. Then this, we say we align top. This is done. Then we can call one more table. Now we need to add spacers. Now we need to put one horizontal spacer from the top. So we'll call our horizontal spacer this one. Step 2, we'll copy here. This is, and bottom one, 2 spacers I put it. Then inside this I'll put my table where I can put 2 columns. One is for date, one is for date, one TD is for date, another one is, let me copy this one, this is done. Now save. So let me put some date. Today is 30th Jan 2021. Let's see how it looks as of now. We can comment out this, otherwise this will create, while rendering, this will create a problem. So I'm commenting this one for now. Let's go to our Apache server. See, now the sample started. It's rendering the date whatever I've created, right? But if you see, this section is created, but space from the left hand side, we require some space because touching to the edges of the browser. Okay, and then we need to go to this and create one TD here. So in this section we need to create one TD which having width 100%, sorry, width should be 10 pixels. Then this is first column as 10 pixels. Then we have date. Then we'll put our logo. In this section we'll put our logo, which should be image src. Then close this tag. Then path should be images, and this should be this logo. We should provide our alt text If suppose image is not loaded, you can say this is our logo image. Then for styling this one, we can add div tag here, copy this whole text, cut it from here and put inside this. Simple. All right, then we can style. You can put it as not a div also. We can use a span tag here because it's not a block level element, so we can put it span here. And now we can style our date. So what we need is font size required, right? Font size is 13 pixels. Color we can put F, this 9090. Font family is by default system font family it will take, or we can put font family Arial Helvetica. Let's see how it looks in browser. Oh my god, this is consuming the whole page, right? And it is at the center of this page. So what's the matter in this one? Go to this. We need to provide a width and height of the image. So let's provide a width and height of the image. Should be, oh, it should be 150 pixels, and height is proportionate to that. That is around, which is considered as 70 pixels, just half of that. Suppose okay. See, now it is top section is created, but this logo should be on the right hand side, right? So we'll go this one and TD. Inside this TD we can say align to right. I put it somewhere wrong, I guess. Let me go and check where is I put. This is a TD, this is TD, and this TD. All right, align left, and okay, this should be 100%. Then it will cover the whole width and height. Now our section is created, header section is done. Now let me finish the bottom part also, so that then we can move further in this section. Create one table. Now that's why I'm saying, like, we have sample already created. We'll copy from here, copy this one and put it here and give width 100% so that it will occupy this whole width, and BG color to F for align center. Can give a P tag or anchor href. Close this and type. You can provide your whatever you want. What I'm just putting on subscribe text to unsubscribe the users. Give your path here. That's it. Let's see, subscribe section is also created. Now middle section, now we'll put our banner section here. So what we'll need to do, we just need a image for that, right? For that particular thing, and dimensions of the image what we need to render. So we need to create a table here. I'll copy this, sorry, go to this section, create one table, okay, with width 100%, cell padding make cell padding 0, cell spacing also 0. I'm writing, I'm not copying it this time. Okay, now again tr, then we have td. So here we need only one single td here. Then we'll provide our div, inside div. We need to style a little bit if needed, otherwise you're good. Let me put text align center if it isn't required, otherwise let's see the source. Then we provide our alt text. This is a banner, and we have images. This is our full width image. Let's see. Oh, yep, we are good to go here. The header is done, our banner is done. Now come to our featured section where we have let's go to our sample how it's looking like. Okay, first part is done, the second part is done. Now we are moving to our third part where we have a feature text in the background color red and some heading, then description, then 2 call to CTA buttons, right? So this is the only tricky part we need to focus on. So let's go to this part. Go to the code, featured section, the featured section. So featured section is having a background red color with the heading, description, and call to CTA buttons, right? The featured section. So featured section is having a background red color with the heading, description, and call to CTA buttons, right? So we'll create a table here again. So let me quickly put this basic needs. Cell padding 0, cell spacing should be 0 pixels. Let me rewrite again. So let's come to the now let's jump into the featured section. So here we need to create here td. All right, let me delete this one. So in this particular section we need a table here, right? First we need a table with a background color. So we'll copy this table and put back to your this section. Then we change this width, it should be 100%. Then go to the upper background color, that should be a red color, not exactly red but it looks like a red, right? E55751 should be looks like orange red. Remove this comment section. Now we have our what do you call height, should be input width of 30 pixels. So we'll wrap up this here. All right, we can close this one. This symbol is not required. The first section is done. Then we can again create one column 2 where we need to put another table. So what we'll do is copy this much, put it here, close this, create this table tr td. So this is our inner part, right? The first we created our vertical spacing, then after this td we can put another spacing, right? Inside this spacing we need to create our content. So inside this TD, we need to create we need a horizontal space before the heading. So for that we need to jump into this one. We need to create one table again, and which have same cell padding, cell spacing 0. So create this and put some TD. My bad, today this VS Code is not supporting properly, I guess. So we'll have TD, then this should be width, occupy the whole space, be with 100%, height 10 pixels. So what we'll do here is copy this sample again, 2 tables, and between that we'll create our heading. So heading should be div. This is all our heading, so we can style this particular section. Font size 16 pixels, font weight bold, font family Helvetica, and the final one is color. As background is red in color, so we'll have light color, that is white. Then we'll put our code samples, something like what's new in tech. Let's see how it looks like in the browser code. This should be with 100%. All right, then we are good to go. This is this. Now we can add our, if you want to add one more space, you can put this section. This is heading done. If you want to put a spacer here, then this is a table. You can put another p tag and type this is just a summary for the featured section, will update after development is done. So this is our description, right? Here we need a 5 pixel spacer, not exactly that one, and top one is fine. Now we need to style this particular thing. We need a color, FFF white, font family Helvetica, font size, hold on, font size should be little bit lesser than this, so we can put like this, and line height 16 pixels. All right, this is done, right? I guess the spacer is not required. P is already having its own, right? So we'll go here at the end of p tag summary. We can put our spacers. That's it. So our summary and the heading is done. Now we can go over the next, our sample of what you call content section. So we'll go to our next TRTD. Here we need to again create one table and 2 sections we need to create it, right? So for that, this particular section, what I will do, create one table here, right? Table is 100%, then cell padding Again we need to write cell padding should be 0. Remember that one is required because we don't want any spacing and inner space, right? Spacing should be 0, width 100%. To check it is rendering or not properly, we can put some color over this and write something here. Actually, content section. All right, save it. Let's see in the browser. This is a new content section created, right? So for that also we need to have, all right, so before that we need to create, okay, all right, width I did it, then TRTD, that should be align center, I forget it. Then start creating our table. It should be, then copy paste this one. This should be in a table where we can create 2 columns and 2 columns divided. So first tr, then remove this, sorry, copy this feature from here. This is the td. Then we need 2 columns inside this one, right? So first this one, 2 columns are ready. All right, so in the first column again we need to create a table. This is done, this is done, this is in a table. Go to tr, and then we have table. All right, then inner section we need to create here with the spacers. Alright guys, now we can create 2 buttons inside our feature contents. So let's create buttons here. Okay, so for that I need a table again. Let me suppose with this cell padding 0, cell spacing make it 0, width should be 100%. As I already told you, this is a default, we need it because we need to consume the whole width. Now inside this td, right, so our button should be at center, so we'll make it align this center. Okay, the section is created. Now I will create another table inside this one. So let me copy paste this again, table here, right? So I need a table here. Table is closed now. Then inside this table I need to create a row with 3 TDs, first 2 and another third. Okay, so let me tell you why we created 3 TDs here. First one is for button with the background, second is a spacer, third is a button with the background. So let's go to this TD, then we'll create a table again which have cell padding 0, then we have cell spacing again 0. Talk about this now. The table have a this button needs to be a background color, so we need to put the background color. The background color should be white, so it should be white. Then I will put some styling for the button. That should be border radius 4 pixels, correct? Now go to inside this table. Again we need to create tr td. For the first td we need to put a width of 10 pixels and height 35 pixels. That decent height for the button, so we will put 35 pixels button, first td. Then go to the second td where we need a table again. Okay, all right, then we'll copy these things from here, put it here, general table with width 100%, because here we need to occupy that full width. All right, percent. Let's go to the table. Inside this table we have another row, and this td is said to be a horizontal spacer, so it should be 10 pixel width, and vertical spacers side by side the buttons, and height should be 35 pixels. All right, now I guess this need to be a horizontal space. Yes, I'm sorry, this should not required. I guess this is should be 5 pixel spacer from the top. All right, then after this one, table is closed. Let's go to this table. Up second table we need to create, remove this one. We need to put styling. Color should be white, right? Font family, font family Arial. Hold on, I'm outside this. Font size should be 12 pixels. Line height 14 pixels. I'll make it 60, it's fine. Font family, and this is closing here. Let's close this one. Okay, here div is closed. On this div we can put your text, whatever is required. So let's put it anchor tag inside this one. All right, and put one more thing, text align center. This is missing. This should be, text should be at center of this. Find out more. This is done. And style this one because we don't want unnecessary styling on this. So text decoration none. Color we can put 141414. That is a little black. Okay, let's see how it looks in the browser for now. Okay, our button is ready. I guess we need some spacer at the end of this one. All right, so copy this top spacer from this one, and paste it after this div. Let's see. Let me go to this one. All right, so we have this one. Spacing is done. Oh, let me remove this one. This is not required. So button is ready, I guess. Then what we need to do is we need to put some spacing after this one, after this text actually. This horizontal, this is again, we need it to come, man, come on. Copy this text, put it after this DD. Right, then we have proper spacing all these buttons, and that is not at the center. So let's check why it is not center first. All right, we can check it in a few minutes. Before that, we can copy one more our div here, so that we can have inside this DD. This is done, and need another table for in between the buttons. We need a spacing, right? So for that one, we need to go to this DD and put some styling here. It should be with 10 pixels spacing and style some. It's not required. All right, I think nothing is required here. Then we need a secondary button. So what I do is I go to here and copy our code that we already created just now, right? So this TD, inside this TD we created one button. So I copied this one and put it inside this one. Let's see, two buttons are ready, right? But they are spaced apart from this, right? Now what we need to do is we need to adjust the spacing. We see these buttons are created, but we need a space at the bottom. So for that I need a spacer. This is our spacer. We need put after this table because it's just not created here. Right now, but these buttons are not in the center and they are having different spacing, right? It's pending here. Let's see, if you see these two buttons are not at the center and both looks are primary buttons. One should be secondary without background, right? So let's jump into the code and see what is pending here. All right, so I'm here. Okay, this is this. Let's open this. Go to this code actually. All right, this is this is buttons, right? So this should not be. This is table. Okay, all right. This is this. This should not be 100% here. Then it will occupy the center. Yep. Now if you see, buttons are at the center. Now we need to change the background color of the second one. We copy paste it, right? So this should be, let's remove this background. And border of radius, this is how it looking now. We need a border, right? The background color should be transparent, right? So first one is a primary button which having the background color, and if you go to the second one which seems like a particular button but it's not button, right? So what we need to do is we need to put in the style, we go here and put on border. It should be like 1 pixel solid and color should be white. We already have a border radius, so it should be fine, I guess. Yep. Then we can change the color of this text. Actually, this should be 5. Now it looks fine, right? So we have buttons ready, then feature content is done. Now let's come to the content part, where we have 2 column layout, and one is image and the second part having title, description, call to CTA. That's our last and what do you call the second last section, but we already completed the footer. So let's jump into the code and finish that also, and our newsletter is ready for now. Okay, so let me jump to the code here. So this section, content section, we can create now. So in the content section, what we need to do is we need to create one table with 2 sections, right? All right. Okay, so let's create a table. Then again we need to cell padding removed, make it 0. Cell spacing also we need to remove, it also 0. Width we need to be 100% by default first time. All right, table is created now. So in this section we need this table we needed two columns, right? Then we have this table. Inside this table, let's create TD. So first we create a spacer here. So what need to be, so this spacer should be vertically, so that need 30% pixels, and copy this one all and put it down there. So there are 2 spaces we created. Inside that I'll copy one more TD where I can play around, not YTD, this should be TD. This should act like a column. Then our main work starts now inside this table. All right, why it is seem to be red? Is something wrong? Let me remove this. Cell padding and cell spacing 0. Cell spacing, my mistake, should be 0. All right, then go to inside the TR. Then inside this one we need to create one table. Okay, this first is TD, which is again a spacer, act like a spacer for the horizontal spacer. This should be closed like this. Then we need to provide the spacer. So for that particular TD, this particular table actually we need to provide a spacer which required height of 50 pixels, right? And we are not pointing anything here, so I guess this is fine. And this table should occupy the width 100%, as this is all right. And we don't have any border and all, so we can remove the borders 0. So this is a spacer, we can copy this and paste it here. So we already created 2 spacers. All right, then in a table we need to create, which is our main content part. So where we need to have VG color should be, all right, color should be FFF then width 100%, then border 0. After that we have cell spacing. My mistake. Spacing should be 0. Then cell padding, how can I forget this, should be 0. Now we have already, so one thing here we need to add is the direction. So direction should be left to right, right? And for this direction support we need to put inside this tile also, otherwise in some of the applications it might not work. So we can put directions LTR. All right, we are good to go now. Okay, so first this is done. Now we can go inside this one, TR, then inside this inner TD we need to create one more spacer which having some width and height. So this should be what do you call, 250 pixels, and we align top and DIR equal to LTR. So in this table we need to create one TR table with BG color so that we can put our image inside this one. Color should be E9, E8, E2. I guess this should gray color, I guess. And we can put width 100%, cell padding should be 0, cell spacing should be 0. Spelling mistake, spacing 0. Now come on, you can create TR inside this. So this TD, this is the first TD where we need to again spacer which is 10 pixels. So we can create similar to, and inside this inner TD we need to create another table which have spacer for so many spacer we need to put, because we are not using any external style sheet or any other styles which will support this, so we need to write it more than as usual. I think we are good to go now. So in this one TRTD you can provide some spacing, I mean height to this one. 10 pixels is fine, I guess. Nice. All right, so that is fine, I guess. All right, this is done, and this need to copy here from here, and inside this you can create a div where we have anchor tag ref which is linked to our, here we need to put img src, so our image is article image 2. I can put all text. That for SEO. Article 1. And this is wrong. Now this is done. All right. So section is ready almost. Then we have it. Spacers. This covers the whole width. Actually, this should be 50%. Once we add it, then it will occupy that section particular. All right. So issues will fix it later. Let's jump to this one. This direction is done. This is done. Then we can create another section which is of less than 34 pixels. Inside this one, which having some spacing. I guess we can do it. All right. So think of that. This one requires some spacer between that, so we can put gap between the 30 pixels gap. All right. Then another. So another TD which helps us to create our content part. So this should be cell padding. So many cell padding I put it today. Cell spacing 0. And then width 100%. Save this one. All right. Then we can create a TR, TD here. All right. So first div. Instead of div, you can have anything, but just I'm putting div for now. You can have heading H1, H2 or H3. So font size should be 18 pixels. Right. Line height 24, standard size for any headings. And then color code we can have, that should be for a yep. All right. Font family Helvetica. And here's your heading. This is right aligned image text with text. So after this we need to create, after this, all right, spacing, then content and call to action. Right, we are about to done it. So I reduced some spacing. I did not provide it properly. You can do it. All right, so this heading is done. Then we can put some content over this one. Okay, all right, let me do directly. Let's see how it works. Let me put some margin, top 10 pixels. I did not yet use, but let me try this. It will work. All right, so for description, what we need is lorem ipsum text. All right, so this is done. Now we need to style this, the font family, font style properly so that it looks nicer. Font family Arial, Helvetica, Most important is color for this one. Can use this, I guess. Yep, looks better. After this, font size 14 pixels, line height 18 pixels. Good to go here. It looks awesome. Then we already have our, after this we have already created a button, right? So I'll go here and copy that code. This button, right? This table we have, right? So I can copy this. Copy this code. This is a button code. We can put it here to accommodate our call to action button. All right. Let's see why the background is not coming. Okay, because that's a white, so we can use 141414. So black, and text color should be white. Now it looks like a call to action button. So our newsletter is almost completed. If you see, we have header, we have banner section, we have featured content, we have attraction. So if you want to add one more this content, so what you will do is write an image with text. So what we can do in the next section, we can copy this out and move the content to the left side and image to the right side. Let's do it. All right, what we'll do is we'll fold it out. Hold on just a minute. One table, and there should be another table. I can copy this. The whole section I copied and put it just below that one. Let's see, we have two sections, but I want this section to be image swapped to the right hand side. So we use the direction, if you notice that one. So in this section we have this one and direction RTL right to left, RTL, mix it. Let's see, RTL. All right, so and this is all hover state working, this is all, and the final is I'm subscribed. It's not looking like, so we can change background color for this, because this is okay. All right, we can change it to different color so that it should be visible properly, and we can style this also. Font size 13 pixels, font family Helvetica. The final touch up is we created this section, but the section is not properly aligned. This should be left aligned, then we are done, right? So let's fix this. This should be not only changing the font, but left align image, right align image with text, right? Oh, that's no worries. This is a left aligned section, and what we missed out here is direction for LTR, left to right. Let's see. All right, this is done. This is right align text, this is left align text. And we are done with this. Newsletter is complete now. Thank you guys and keep watching Localhost Labs.